About assertive communication. And, you know, I think sometimes that people forget that they have the power when it comes to communication. They hold all the power and they let their emotions get to them. They let the situation get to them. And then they forget that they have all the power. So, this is a really important video. It's going to be a little bit long, but it's really an interesting topic. So, what is assertive communication? And you have to understand that it works in all situations. It can be used for work, for personal, for um, with your family, with your kids. It's really once I get done explaining my version of what assertive communication is, you're going to understand. So hang in there with me, okay? So um, it works in all situations because it is fabulous. It's very direct, it's honest, and it's respectful. Now, passive communication is a little bit different than that. It's, if you think about passive characteristics of people, people communicate very indirectly. They avoid conflict, and aggressive people, they communicate very directly. And sometimes it's very hostile, and most often than not, it's very disrespectful disrespectful. So it's really important. And there are payoffs to communicating in an assertive way. Your needs get handled, not only your needs, other people's needs. You create stronger relationships. People begin to respect you. You resolve conflicts faster. And you feel great about you. Other people feel great about who they are. You feel like you have created a win-win situation. So let's go right into it, okay? So if you, in the bigger picture of things, passive people, passive communicators, right? There's about 85% of our population globally. This is not just in the United States or in Europe or in Asia, it's globally. 85% of our population speak from a passive perspective, from a passive point of view. And only about 10% are aggressive, although you may think that there's more. It's really not, and I'm going to show you why. And people who are truly assertive, there's about 5% of the population that is truly, truly assertive. So let's have a look and see what this is all about. Okay, so passive people, okay, passive communicators, their mission is to please. They will do anything to make you like them. So their mission is to please you. This is above all, above everything else. They will do this. Why? Because they are mostly insecure. That's why they communicate passively. And they have a need to be liked. So they'll please you so that you will like them. Make sense? Their eye contact is poor. They will not look you directly in the eye because that's too confrontive. So they will look up, they will look over, they will look down. Sometimes they'll look you in the eye, but not very often. Why? Because it's too confrontive. They communicate very indirectly. Like, oh, well, he said, she said that maybe this is possibly something that we could possibly do maybe later, if not tomorrow or the next day. It's very indirect. They have little or no opinion. Now, do they have an opinion? Yes. However, do they express their opinion all the time or even most of the time? Not very often, because if they express their opinion, you may not like their opinion, and then you're going to be upset with them, and then you won't like them, and they need to be liked, right? So they pretend that everything is fine. However, they build up resentment. This is the passive aggressive people that are out there. I know some of you were already thinking, oh, well, I'm passive aggressive, or my mom is passive aggressive like mine was. My dad was very aggressive in his younger years. My mom was very passive. And so my dad would come home from work and he would say, "Where's my dinner?" And my mother wouldn't say anything. And then why isn't the house clean? And my mother wouldn't say anything. And, this would go on and on and on. Why didn't the kids do this? And why didn't this happen? And my mother never said anything. And then until one day she would just blow up. She like, I am sick of you asking me, telling me this, that, and the other thing. And then they had this big blowout fight. This was my mother. She'd hold it in, hold it in, hold it in, and then completely blow up. This is passive aggressive. And she held in this resentment. So this is passive communication. They avoid confrontation at all costs because if there's confrontation, then people don't like each other. They get upset with each other. And then they might get, in the mix, and some people might not like them, and then it goes back to that they want to please everybody. And and they seek comfort. They look for the comfort zone. They hang out in their comfort zone more than normal. I know some of you are out there, you're not going to say, you're going to say, oh well, that's not everybody. Oh, of course not. That's 85% of the population, and there are some exceptions to the rule, but most of these people, they seek comfort. So you say something like, hey, let's go rollerblading. No, I'm gonna have to stay home and straighten my soup cans in my closet. They don't venture out. They mostly stay home. They do puzzles. People like this. It's not that they're bad. It's they want to stay in their comfort zone, because when they get outside the comfort zone, it feels very weird and it feels confrontational even to them, and they don't like that. So their biggest fear, though, more than anything else, is that they're never going to get what they want. So secretly and quietly, they're like in their chair, or they're at home, or they're doing the dishes, or whatever they're doing, and they're talking to themselves. Their mind is going, and they see all these people out there in the world doing things, having relationships, going places, doing things outside their comfort zone. And secretly inside, they're freaking out like, well, one of these days I'm going to do it. But, oh, I mean, I need to start living soon. And one of these days I'm going to get out there and do it. But, they're freaking out. They're never going to get what they want. So that's a general description of passive communicators. And so, what's the flip side of that? On the aggressive side, they're basically the opposite of passive, right? So, aggressive people are basically the opposite. So, let's take a look, right? Instead of having the mission to please people, their mission is to control. You with me on that one? They want to control everybody, everything they do. They want to control their actions. They want to control their time. They want to control their thoughts, like that. Now, aggressive people don't have a need to be liked. They have a need to be right. And they will be right at any cost. They will lie, they will cheat, they will steal, and they do this very subtly. They'll look like they're being the best human being on the planet, and underneath it, they will do things that are not okay, and they'll do everything they can to hide it. Their eye contact is like very direct. They will look at you, they'll stare you down. They will do that. Why? Because they don't want you to bend on on your opinions, on your thoughts. They want to confront you. They want you to back down so that they can be what? Right. So it's really interesting. So they communicate very directly. They say things that are curt. They say things that are hurtful, and they do it in a way that you, even though it hurts, they make it seem like that it's your fault. You're the one that's taking it the wrong way. So it's really interesting how these people operate. So they're very opinionated, and of course, do they express their opinion? Yes. And whose opinion is the most important opinion is theirs, right? Then they have an opinion about everything, even though they may not know everything about everything. They have an opinion about everything, and these are the kind of people where nothing's ever good enough. And it's not like they pretend that things are fine. No, nothing's ever fine. Nothing's ever good enough. It's the complete opposite. So for example, when I was a little kid, my father, being aggressive, he would give me chores to do while he was at work. And then one summer, I was supposed to paint the living room. And so he came home one day after I painted, and he walks in the door, doesn't say anything about hello, how are you? He looks around the room and he starts pointing out, what about this corner over here? You missed a spot there. And this is straight. This edge over here is not correct around the window. I want you to do this over again. So, you know what I'm talking about? These people are like, there's nothing ever good enough, and they're going to point it out because they need to be the one that's in charge and in control, and they know everything like that. And they thrive on this confrontation. They love confrontation. They want people to argue. They want people to not get along. Subtly, they want this, right? Why? Because there's a really, 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 really deep seated thing that there's something going on with aggressive people that they don't want you to know about. So as long as there's confrontation, they can be right. And as long as there's confrontation, then there is a way to defend their position. So they thrive on this confrontation and they seek this tension out because here's the thing, right? They also have a fear. Now, what are they really afraid of? So if people are are confrontational around them, they're confrontational with other people and they seek this tension. Now, you've been around people who are aggressive. Is it difficult to get to know these people like on a really close one-to-one level? I'm not talking about all the time, but the really aggressive people, yes. They're very difficult to get to know personally. Why? Because they have a fear. Their fear is to be found out. This people over here, these assertive, the passive people, they are afraid that they're never going to get what they want. The aggressive people are afraid to be found out. What do they not want you to know about them? Interesting. They don't want you to know that they don't have it together, that they don't know everything, that they don't know what to do sometimes, but they have to pretend that they are in control, that they're right all the time. So they're freaking out all the time. Now, if they're pretending to be right about everything and they're trying to hide it from you, it's going to create this tension. It's going to be very difficult, especially like in work situation. You have a very aggressive boss. People don't want to be around them. I had one that used to look over his bifocals at me, even as I was just sitting there in his office going through, contracts or something like that. He would give me this look. That was his, confrontational look, like, don't argue with me. You're going to do it my way or the highway kind of a thing, right? So let's take a look at true assertive communication and what these people are like, right? So a true assertive communicator, they're very complimentary of everyone. They don't pacify people. They don't blow smoke up people's butts, right? But they're very complimentary. They look for things to compliment people on. Why? Because people gravitate toward improvement. And when an assertive communicator compliments them, people want to be around them. They want to hear those compliments and they want to work harder to receive more compliments, right? And a truly assertive person values other people because as human beings, are we valuable? We are invaluable, right? And so when a truly assertive person is around people, they see them as not just as a person, but a human being who is invaluable, right? And that they make contributions to teams, to ideas, to actions, to projects, all the time, and they're very, very valuable. And assertive communicators are very responsible. They're responsible. They know that they have the ability to respond, to what? To anything, to their feelings, to their emotions, to the weather, to the traffic. They have the ability to respond because they're in charge, because they're where they come from is that they're in control of their thoughts and their feelings and their actions, and they have a response instead of a reaction. They are a response able person. They're also problem solvers. They look for solutions. They want to find and help people to find solutions to the problem so that, life is smoother. They're not there to create problems. There to look for obstacles, but in the big picture is to solve problems. So they're solution oriented. They want more than anything to find a solution to a problem versus looking for something some wrench to throw in the gears. They don't want to create a problem. They want to, like at work or with friends, neighbors, they want to be the kind of a person that is there to support and to assist and can to do whatever they can to help people in any way that they and the other people need. So they're non-judgmental also about other people. It's like other people are the way that they are, and they're not the way that they're not. So, our job is not to change people. Our job is to support people and not judge them for the way that they are, because we're all on a spiritual growth journey. We're all in this kind of big human pot of soup, you know. And so to judge other people it does nothing. It doesn't. It does. It's negative. It's just like, why do it? It doesn't even make sense, because if you're around an assertive, truly assertive person, you're going to want to be supportive. You're going to want to be with them, and so you don't want to be judged by them, right? So an assertive person, if you are with them and you look at them, you'll notice right away that they have really good eye contact. Their facial expressions are very, you know, they're caring. I don't want to say neutral, but they're not like looking at you with these glaring eyes and this freak out face and insecurity. They have great eye contact, and they look at you, and when they speak with you, they look into your eyes because they want to connect with you, and they're very congruent with their actions and their with their words. So then when they say, "Oh yeah, I want to do this. I'm gonna go check your furnace," or I'm going to make that phone call, or I'm going to follow through with something. They're congruent. Their words and their actions are congruent. So they also see the real person. They don't see someone who is being, a nasty person all the time. They see somebody that's underneath that body that they have, that physical body. There's someone inside there, a real person who is wanting to have a purpose in life and to wanting to make a contribution to the world. So there's a real person in there, and an assertive, truly assertive person sees that, even though that person may not know it themselves, that they're still looking for a purpose. And they support people in their inner growth. So there's all different things to learn in life. There's our education. There's things in with technology, but there's also inner growth, inner spiritual growth, that is really important. And some people may not really be into that. However, an assertive, truly assertive person sees that person inside. If you really ask them, are they how do they feel about themselves? Our number one relationship is with ourself. And someone who is, for a better word, not into spiritual growth, or not into inner growth, they may be kind of lost, and they be just all about the external parts of life and working on cars and you know having the right haircut and wearing Gucci glasses and all this stuff. But a truly assertive person sees that there is a human being inside there that wants to grow from within. And a truly assertive person respects everybody's right. We have an obligation, especially in the United States, as a human, to respect people's right to have an opinion. And we don't have to agree with that opinion. It's that we have a human right to respect people's rights, human rights. So we respect, truly assertive people respect that. And they're a living example. So they show people, they just don't say what they're going to do. They show people by their actions for what they do. They the words that come out of their mouth are very intentional. So they're a living example, and they're proactive. They take action. They don't sit on things and wait for things to happen. They go forward and they get things moving, and they rarely or get upset or even complain. Why? Because complaining does nothing. So complaining is like bitching about something that nobody can do anything about. That's all it is. Why do it? It doesn't make any sense. And truly assertive people, they work very hard to be on time and thorough with their work and not leaving out details. And so when they say they're going to be someplace at a certain time, they work very hard. They're rarely late. When they're late, it's usually because they have a very good excuse or a very good reason, not a made up bullshit reason, right? So they are thorough and on time. They give people opportunity. They look for things to support people in moving their purpose along, their passion. So they give them opportunities to do things, to shine their self. Not that they give opportunities so people can shine. They focus on facts and they listen. They don't go off of hearsay. They don't pretend that, oh, well, so and so's made up this story and that person made up that story and that's true and that's true. And there's all these opinions going on and all this factual information and stuff. They listen, they focus on the facts they want to hear. And then they'll even ask questions that are specific about something so that they can get clear. They ask a lot of questions. And we've all been excuse me, we've all been uh, accused of saying something that wasn't quite the way that another person they liked it or wanted to hear it. And so then an assertive person will dig in there a little bit and get asked questions that will bring out the facts and not listen to hearsay. So they gather information, not evidence to like pin the tail on the donkey. They don't want to, you know, to drive a stake in people's heart. They want to gather information in a way that helps people to see the real truth and what's really going on. And they acknowledge people's emotions. So when somebody's upset, they'll go to them and say, I understand that you're upset. So let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation instead of, hey, well, you shouldn't have been upset about that because it was your fault. They acknowledge people's emotions. They take ownership for their own emotions. They take ownership for their actions. They take ownership for all that they do in life, all that they're creating. For they take ownership for being alive. They take ownership for everything. They don't put their problems on other people. They don't put their desires and things that they're not getting in their life on other people. No, they take ownership for everything. They're very confident and accountable, you see. So they're humble, they're appreciative, and they know they have a personality, which is really important because, you know, this is a topic for another video. The interesting thing is that we all have a personality. That's not who we are, though. We have this personality that was developed over time from the moment that we were born until, you know, the present moment. And that personality is not who we are underneath. So a truly assertive person knows, a truly assertive communicator, excuse me, knows that that people have a personality. They are not their personality, right? So I'll create another video about that one. And they state what they want and need. So they speak their mind. They say things what they want. And they don't say things in a mean way. They say things in a kind way. If they need something, right? And they want something, they will ask. And they'll say it in a way that's very clear without hopefully without creating any upset. So, assertive communication, right? So, from the place of from the what we've heard so far, right? A passive communicator Given that their mission is to please, they need to be liked, they have poor eye contact, and on and on and on, they create a scenario, a certain situation. It's called a lose-win scenario. And who is the loser all the time? That is the passive person. So if you flip it over to the aggressive person, they also create certain scenarios and situations. And most of the time, they're creating a win-lose situation. And who always needs to be or has to be the winner? Them, the aggressive person. Now, a truly assertive person, given that you know they're complimentary, they value people, they see the real person, they respect people's rights, they ask for what they want and what they need, they take ownership, they create scenarios also. However, they are win-win scenarios, and they will put win-win scenarios at the top of their list all the time to make sure that everybody comes out smiling, that they've gained something in the situation, and like that. So interesting, huh? So let me come back here on the screen, and let's finish up here. Okay, so assertive communication. It's really interesting. If you have any questions and comments, please, leave them. So how do you start doing it? You review this video many, many times and watch it, and then you pay attention to your own style. That's the very first thing that you want to do is self-observe all the time. Don't go off half-cocked and say, oh, I watched Dominic's video and now I'm a assertive communicator. No, no, no. Sorry, it doesn't work like that, right? It took me many years to pay attention to myself and begin to see, I could have done this right different. I could have said that different. And so, but I studied it. I was all the time learning what does it mean to be an assertive communicator. It's not easy. So you have to pay attention to your own style. You have to practice saying yes and no. Yes and no is about certainty. So if somebody, oh, I need to start saying no more often. That's a passive communicator. Someone says, can you watch my kids for the next 6 years? And you're like, oh, sure, no problem. What about saying no? Or I can't this week. And what about next week? Being certain. Yes and no. Very important. And be clear about your needs and wants. So there's an exercise that I've put together about how to decide what your needs and your wants are. I'm going to put the link below for you. And it's a great exercise because if you don't know what you need and what you want, it's very difficult to be clear about what it is that you want and need so that you can get your needs met, right? So be respectful, not rude. That's pretty much a given. And it's always important to, no matter what situation that you're in, remember that that person, that if they have an issue or something going on, that it's their issue. It's what's going on with them. They're not happy. They're unaware that they have the power to communicate in a way that is a win-win scenario situation. They can create that. They're unaware of that. So be respectful, not rude. So here's a few tips. Give it time. Don't rush it. Practice every single day. Put sticky notes on your inside of your eyelids so that you can remember, hey, communicate assertively. It really works. Practice daily. Listen to others. Don't judge other people. Listen to their style. Listen to the way that they communicate. And then on your way home driving, have the conversation like, wow, that was really interesting. What Dominic was saying about aggressive communicators was actually right. So go for the win-win. And if you keep that in mind all the time, it will really help you to uh, remember that you're focused on being an assertive communicator. Be direct, do it kindly, and remember to subscribe. And if you like this video, please click like. And if it helped you and you feel like it would help other people, please share it with other people. And of course, always make comments. I get notification when someone asks questions, or you can ask a question, you can make a comment, and I will see them, and I do all my best to answer your questions. So thank you so much for your time. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.